Um, yeah, so again, talk about shame here, but we're going to be mainly talking about not just with women, but men as well. Octavia, hello, how are you?
Hello, how are you?
Yeah, not bad. You look very lovely.
Thank you. That's yeah.
Um,
Took me
so
five
for
minutes.
for anyone watching this, just tell me a little bit about yourself. Tell me a little bit about your background, education wise, and what you do for work now.
Yeah, cool. So basically, about 4 years ago, I went through a massive, I'm going to say spiritual awakening, but it was a very kind of dark time for me. I was, you know, very happy person, and one day, almost overnight, I was just plagued with chronic anxiety. I stopped sleeping. I had insomnia. I fell into a bit of a depression. And it was really, really scary because I had no idea why. And
Mm,
normally when something, external happens, you react to it and maybe, yeah, it can send you into a bit of an anxiety, depression, but there was no tangible reason as to why I was experiencing
yeah.
this. And that's so fucking scary. So I remember having this when I was traveling in India on my own, and it just basically like blew me out of the water. And off the back of that, I just searched for loads of different things that could help me in order to return back to myself.
Mm,
And it took some time. I tried everything. Well, in my eyes, everything. I tried hypnotherapy. I tried healers. I tried life coaches. I tried breath work. I tried so many things, which eventually, got me back to feeling myself and better. So I'm so grateful for that experience, but at the same time, it was yeah, terrifying. And
So, so, so just going back to that, you said that you had an awakening and you felt like there was something just not right in your life, and I can imagine a lot of people will have this feeling. I know for one, I had this feeling. I definitely had that feeling of not feeling right, not feeling like I fit in really. Do you want to go into more detail about that? Like, how did it make you feel? Like were your sleeping patterns messed up? Like was your social life affected by this?
yeah, 100%. I went to in a kind of social reclusion, I'd say, for about a year where I stopped drinking. Everyone thought I'd actually do fair. I didn't even know what everyone thought around me. I think my family just thought what she was taking life so seriously. But internally, I was going through something really scary. And although people around me knew about it, in my head, I was thinking,
Mm.
I'm gone,
I
I'm
think
fucked it.
I think in those circumstances as well. Sorry, you say you didn't know what anyone else thought about you. I think in those circumstances you've just got to go inward and just look out for you, haven't you, really? And try to figure out what the hell is going on instead of, dumbing it down with alcohol or every weekend or whatever whatever you were doing to numb it down, you know?
Yeah, 100%. And I think off the back of this experience, I realized eventually why I was, feeling like this. And as a very sensitive person, a sensitive child, I took on a lot of people's sort of projections, maybe some
Mm,
negativity, and I had zero boundaries when I was young.
mm,
And I just let people, speak to me in ways that actually wasn't helpful or useful for me. And I just took on their judgments, and I was so fearful of judgment, which actually
judgment.
then made me realize, diving deeper into this, that I carried so much shame around expressing myself, out of fear that I wouldn't be accepted, understood, liked. So I felt like I had no boundaries. Essentially, this
Okay,
is how.
amazing. All right. Okay. So the shame that you received was through the fear of being judged.
Yeah,
So you couldn't go about doing, I don't know, anything really without that little thought in the back of your head thinking, oh, am I going to judge here by someone? Is that right? Am I right in thinking that?
yeah,
Is that fair
100%.
enough? Yeah.
I think it's so common in our society where we're just in a kind of shaming culture. It's not anyone's fault. It's what we're born into. Even just like
Mm,
reading the newspaper or like magazines, and there's shame all over it. Like on the front cover of so many magazines, it's like, look at this girl's cellulite. There's constant shame, constant judgment, and it's toxic for both men and women. And I think we're the subject of that, and everyone's the subject of that. And it's
yeah.
not our fault. We naturally then go on to judge, and we're all
Mm.
kind of, yeah,
Yeah.
putting this.
There's a saying that said the most judgmental people are the ones that fear being judged the most, and I can 100% relate to that being from You know, some of the guys that I've hung around with in the past, you know, we've been very, you know, you classify it as banter, but at the same time, it's brutal. It's absolutely brutal. If someone, they call it the big puppy syndrome, you know, you've got all these small puppies, and if one puppy does something, you know, a bit different or grows bigger, outgrows the other ones, the little puppies are on him straight away because he's different, he's trying to change, and you feel shame with that. And then that in
Yeah.
turn just creates this, you know, but throughout your life growing up, you just have this shame and fear of judgment indented into your mind.
Yeah, totally. And it's just the biggest killer of self-expression, biggest killer of, you know, dreaming big, because you're just so scared of what other people are thinking. Yeah.
Yeah. So now you obviously you went to university, got a master's in, what did you get a master's in?
In positive psychology and coaching psychology.
Okay, cool. And then you put yourself out there now, don't you? Tell me a little bit about what you do now, and then give the people who are watching a little bit of advice on how, you know, if someone's out there watching this thinking, oh my God, I feel fear of judgment, and you know, I'm getting shamed at every turn. Like, how would I combat that? You know, so if briefly going about that, and then onto that one.
Yeah. So I would say the biggest thing to do is set your boundaries. So those people who don't have clear-cut boundaries might suffer a little bit more as they take on more shit from people. So I'd say set your boundaries. If you're upset with the way they're talking to you, express yourself. You have to express what you're thinking, and I think that's the biggest. If there's an incongruence between what you're thinking and what you're saying, you're going to experience anxiety. You're going to be experiencing, you know, disharmony in the body. So I would say make sure that you express yourself, have the courage to express yourself, even when it's uncomfortable, even when you just want to just fucking curl up in a ball and not. But setting your boundaries and expressing yourself and speak your truth, I would say is one of biggest helps to overcome that. But now what I'm doing is basically helping people who feel like they've got to this point where they just feel stuck. They feel just stagnant, confused, lost. And I help people to overcome that, because a lot of this stuff is kind of trauma that we haven't dealt with. So it comes out in, you know, really toxic ways, whether that's kind of like really unhealthy relationships or addictions or alcohol and drugs on the weekend. So what I do now is work with people who are just ready to change and just don't know how, but want to kind of dive a bit deeper and look into themselves and see what's there.
Yeah, so you briefly touched on courage there, and yeah, courage is a huge thing, I believe, in, because obviously the fear of judgment and the fear and shame, it's crippling. It's so crippling, and I think a lot of people can relate to that. And you said, you know, it destroys dreams. Talk a little bit more about courage, and how did you go about finding the courage to do that? Was it because of your why was more important than your fear, or what was that?
Yeah, well, I think that I had no choice really. Like, there was, for me, I knew the person that I wanted to become. I knew that I wanted to help others. I knew that I had to follow this kind of calling in my heart. There was no choice for me to go down the route of I'm scared of what people are going to think about me. It's almost like, I just had to override that. I just keep practicing, stepping up and practicing courage every day. Like,
practicing, yeah.
People find vulnerability difficult, and if you choose courage over comfort every day, you can't promise every day, but if you choose it just today, then it will lead you to amazing things. So
choose courage over comfort. I like that a lot. That's amazing. Okay, well, thank you so much, Octavia. That was a quick fire 10 minutes. For anyone who's watching, we just touched on setting boundaries, choosing courage over comfort, shame, and not really try not to care what other people think. We were watching a documentary the other day, and the lady, Brené Brown, said, if they're not in the arena, then their opinions don't matter. If they're not out there being vulnerable, if they're not out there doing their best, if they're not out there living their purpose and really putting themselves out there, they don't matter. If they're not in the arena, then don't take the comments to heart. Thank you so much, Octavia.
No worries, my love.
And I guess I'll see you soon.
See you soon. Bye.
Everyone who's watching, thank you so much. Bye. Sending love.
Bye.